Hi guys, Ashley here with Real Buy Agency and John L. Scott Bothell. So a few days ago, the Northwest Multiple Listing Service released their market data for activity that took place through the end of February 2020. Having looked over that data, I'm now once again excited to be able to provide you with a bit of a breakdown on the current picture concerning residential real estate here in Washington in March 2020. In particular, analysis in this video focuses on county-wide and comparative data for both King and Snohomish counties, as we are trying to keep this video just a little bit snappier than the last two. Without further ado, let's get started.
Right then guys, as is becoming our standard pattern, I'm going to start this month off by looking at some national mortgage interest rate data before we move on to look at our local data. Pretty dramatic figures this month with the arrival of the coronavirus here in the US and subsequent widespread market fears and corresponding response rates on both long-term US treasuries and on mortgages have come down substantially. They were already lower than anticipated at the beginning of this year and have just trended down now to what are actually all-time historic lows. To help you guys get a visualization of just how great in historic terms these current rates are, we have a couple of graphs here displaying data from Freddie Mac. This first chart is a 5-year, 30-year fixed chart. Going back, as you can see, to spring 2015. You can see clearly on this chart that over the last 5 years, we've hovered between around 3.5 and kind of 4.35 for the most part. In November 2018, it went up to a high point for 1 week of 4.94%. And then obviously we come down pretty sharply since that point because at the start of this month, the first week ending March the 5th, averaged an all-time low interest rate of 3.29% on the 30-year fixed, as reported by Freddie Mac. And as we're reporting this, we have data for the week ending March 12th, because these run to Thursdays, Thursday to Thursday, these data points. That one was up fractionally off that 3.29, up to 3.36 for the 30-year fixed. Now, if that 5-year chart alone doesn't make it dramatic enough, we can pull back and look some much longer term charts. And looking at our all-time charts, bring up an all-time chart now. And this chart it says, we say all-time, but really it's only we've only really been tracking properly since the 70s. But since that point, this is where we're at in terms of data points. The high point for interest rates was 18.39%. And that was recorded October 21st, 1981. The week ending, this one's a Wednesday. Over times, the recording dates have changed for the weeks. But yeah, 18.39%, guys, versus 3.36% at the time of recording. Okay, so this is the first of our local slides. This is the newly active listings for King and Snohomish County chart. We can see that in February 2020, we had 2,969 new active listings in King County and 1,165 new active listings in Snohomish County. We're looking at the green columns here. Year over year, this represents a 24.7% increase in King County and a 27.46% increase in Snohomish County in terms of new active listings. And month to month, we are up from January's new listings number of 2,361. That represents an increase of 25.75%. In Snohomish County, we are up from 1,108 to here to 1,165, and that represents just an increase of 5.14% in terms of new listings month to month. Moving on to our total active listings chart, you can see that in King County, we had 2,221 total active listings at the end of February. And in Snohomish County, we were down to 797 active listings, while King County is ever so fractionally up in total active listings on the market at the end of February than it was at the end of January, being at 2,118 at the end of January. We can see that Snohomish County is actually down from 969 to 797, which represents a pretty substantial loss month to month in terms of total inventory on the market. 17.75% down month to month in Snohomish, and 42.04% down in Snohomish year over year. Switching back to King County for a second, King County is down from 3,744 total active listings at the end of February in 2019, and that represents a reduction of 40.68%, so similar numbers in terms of year over year percentage loss. So with substantial losses year over year in total inventory in both counties, and this sizable loss month to month of inventory in Snohomish County, this seems like a pretty good time to take a look at the months of inventory chart. Okay, so months of inventory, 1.17 months of inventory in King County now for the end of February 2020, and 0.93 months in Snohomish. You can see that month to month that's actually down now, so from 1.27 in the end of January in King County, and down from 1.24 in Snohomish at the end of January. And year over year down substantially for February, so 2.09 months of inventory was present at the end of February 2019 in King County, and 1.63 months in Snohomish County. So both King County and Snohomish County showing pretty sizable downturns in terms of inventory. You have King County down year over year minus 44.02%, and Snohomish County down year over year minus 42.94%. So very, very similar there between the two counties, just a regional and year over year change. And then month to month inventory differences, while King County is just down the 7.87%, Snohomish County is down a solid 25% month to month. This is a little bit concerning and kind of answers some of our questions from the beginning of the year in terms of, will the number of sellers coming to market be able to keep up with the present demand? It was questionable as to whether this spring we would see enough interest on the listing side to basically at least keep property prices in relative balance, but it seems pretty clear at this point that we will not see that. We can probably project for the rest of the year, or at least through the summer, that inventory levels will remain low, and that there's going to be a lot of competition for buyers, and we can thus expect price points to probably go higher. Now, obviously, the elephant in the room is the arrival of the coronavirus here in Washington, and how dramatically this is affecting economic factors both at the local and the national level. Well, there were some concerns that the major impact of this would be to prevent buyers from coming out and checking out properties, and thus dramatically reduce the opportunities for sellers in the market, thus possibly increasing inventory. All we've seen on the ground so far is that the volatility in the market with the Fed cutting interest rates has driven mortgage rates lower, as we touched on earlier, and this has thus far only further incentivized potential buyers to come out and actually try to check out properties. So as long as they're still able to do that, to actually be able to go out and see inventory, unless everyone's 100% quarantined, I think that we can expect that actually the thing that's more likely to happen again is inventory is just going to fall shorter because of increasing buyer demand, and because, if anything, I think it's the prerogative of potential sellers whether or not they want to come on market with this, and so their perceptions might be that actually this is not a good time, when in fact it is a good time. And by the time everyone realizes that, we could be even an even lower inventory situation than we are already, which is very extreme. I mean, we are already super low, particularly in Snohomish County, and with pending rates showing no signs of slowing down, in real danger of getting right down to almost running entirely out of properties, it seems. So, yeah. Moving on to our pricing line graphs. Here's our line graphs for single-family homes and condos, closing sales price points. The blue line's King County, the green line's Snohomish County. This is actually now a 13-month graph. changed it out from a 12-month just so we can get a little more clarity in terms of exact comparisons year over year. And we can see that for February of this year, the close-in sales price median in King County was $615,000. That was substantially up from the end of January, where the median closing sales price was $589,950. And then in Snohomish County, we're up to $494,000 from $485,000. So a little bit less substantial of a jump. But if you look back, Snohomish saw a pretty sizable jump in December, up from $471,748 to $495,000 there, month to month. And year over year, you can see Snohomish is also up substantially, $454,995 to $494,000 now. So a jump of fractionally less than 8.8% year over year versus the jump in King County's median closing sales price year over year, which is up just a little less than 2%, about 1.8%. And finally, switching over to the median list prices, we can see that in Snohomish County and King County, actually, in February, we pretty much plateaued in terms of actual list prices. I think because we'd already, as brokers witnessing low inventory at the start of the year, tried to price that in. We anticipated this increase in demand. And so to limit crazy multiple offer situations, or just to try and achieve the best returns for clients, the price points were already moved up on the list inside. But then I think at the end of January, when we looked at the data at the start of February, actual closing sales prices, as they were kind of flatlining or even slightly down off the end of December, probably made agents and brokers think about whether or not they wanted to go any higher. At that point, we already had a little bit of a spread. So this is probably why they flatlined here this month. But we still, of course, see all the closing prices go up. So, I mean, this is interesting. I don't know whether we'll see the listing prices go up now again, possibly, but whether or not they do, you can almost guarantee that the closing prices are going to go up this month, and possibly quite substantially.
Okay, in conclusion then, while newly active listings are up slightly year over year in both King and Snohomish County, the total number of listings and housing units actively on the market is down substantially. Housing inventory levels that started this year extremely low continue to be driven yet lower by the ongoing presence of a strong buyer demand. As the rates on long-term US T-bills continue to drop currently in response to pressure of rising volatility in US and global equities markets, we can expect mortgage rates to also either drop somewhat in lockstep or at least stay hovering around their current historically low levels for the foreseeable future. These historically low interest rates continue to be a positive boon for anyone looking to purchase right now, and all those that can get into contract should be feeling pretty great about the future. How the current wildcard of the coronavirus outbreak in the Puget Sound and around the globe is going to affect real estate markets over current months is very tough to say. While some analysts have suggested it may lower the number of buyers in the marketplace, I personally believe that any lowering of demand will likely just be further offset by fears on the supply side. While move-up sellers might still be motivated to do business in these conditions, there are other sellers that may simply prefer to hold off. Also, in King and Snohomish County, as demand for property is currently so high, even if a fair degree of demand downturn was to occur in the coming weeks, it is highly unlikely to be on large enough scales to substantially grow supply levels. Thus, in the short term, all factors considered, we can only really anticipate yet further inventory shortage, which in turn likely means more multiple offer situations and still higher sales prices. This trend is likely to persist, at least as long as these low interest rates remain and unemployment figures stay low. Okay guys, that does it for March market update. As always, please hit the like button if you found this video useful, and like the page or subscribe to the channel if you wish to be notified of similar future content. Also, feel free to engage and post questions in the comment section below. Until next time, I hope this finds you well. Stay safe up there and have a great one.